The rain-slicked alley behind the rusty anchor reeked of stale beer and regret when Wyatt's fist connected with Elias's jaw, a crack like thunder splitting the night. Elias crumpled against the graffiti-scarred brick wall, tasting copper and betrayal, his mind reeling from the venom in Wyatt's eyes, the same eyes that had once promised forever under Seattle's endless gray skies. "You think you can just walk away after what you did?" Wyatt snarled, his voice a jagged blade as two shadows, Wyatt's so-called friends, closed in, their boots thudding like accusations on the wet pavement. Elias Hawthorne had never been the type to chase storms, but Wyatt Kane had been one from the moment they collided at that dive bar in Capitol Hill 3 years ago. It was a Tuesday in late fall, the kind where the fog rolls off Puget Sound like a lover's breath, and Elias, nursing a cheap IPA after a brutal shift at the coffee roastery, had locked eyes with the tall, broad-shouldered guy across the room. Wyatt, with his sun-kissed skin from summer surfing in Westport and that crooked smile that could disarm a room, was laughing with a group of rowdy locals, his laugh carrying over the hum of indie folk tunes and clinking glasses. Elias, all sharp angles and quiet intensity at 21, felt it then, a pull magnetic and terrifying like gravity shifting under his feet. He hadn't planned to talk to him. Elias was the steady one, the barista who memorized orders and dreamed of opening his own spot someday, the kid from a fractured family in the suburbs of Bellevue who'd learned early that love was a luxury he couldn't afford. But Wyatt sauntered over anyway, sliding onto the stool next to him with a beer in hand. "You look like you're plotting world domination with that stare," Wyatt said, his voice warm as aged whiskey, blue eyes sparkling under the dim Edison bulbs. Elias flushed, muttering something about the rain, and just like that the conversation flowed, easy unforced like they'd known each other in another life. By closing time, they were the last ones out, sharing a soggy umbrella down Broadway's neon-lit streets. Wyatt talked about his construction gigs, the way he'd drop everything for a road trip to the Olympics, chasing hikes and hidden lakes. Elias opened up about his sketches, rough charcoal drawings of the city's underbelly, the forgotten corners where stories hid in the shadows. Wyatt leaned in close under the awning of a shuttered bookstore, rain pattering like applause, and whispered, "Show me one sometime. I bet they're as real as you are." Elias's heart stuttered, a forbidden thrill racing through him. He was out quietly to a handful of friends, but this, whatever this was, felt like stepping into sunlight after years in the dim. Weeks blurred into months, their rhythm sinking like the tide. Wyatt would pick him up after shifts in his beat-up Ford pickup, the cab smelling of pine air freshener and sawdust, blasting Springsteen as they drove to Alki Beach for midnight bonfires. Elias would trace the veins on Wyatt's forearms while they lay on threadbare blankets, stars punching holes in the overcast sky, Wyatt's head on his chest. "You're different, Eli," Wyatt murmured one night, fingers interlacing with Elias's, calluses rough against smooth skin. "Like you see the world in colors I didn't know existed." Elias believed him, let himself fall, hard and unreserved. For the first time he felt seen, not as the awkward gay kid from a conservative high school, but as Elias whole and wanted. But cracks spiderwebbed in early. Wyatt's family, old-school Seattle-ites with a fishing cabin in Gig Harbor, didn't know about them. "It's complicated," Wyatt would say, dodging Elias's questions with a kiss that tasted like evasion. Elias pushed it down, told himself it was fear, not shame. They built a world in stolen moments. Lazy Sundays at Pike Place Market, haggling over fresh salmon and stealing bites of chocolate from the same square. Rainy afternoons tangled in Wyatt's cramped apartment in Fremont, the troll sculpture outside their window a quirky guardian. Elias sketched Wyatt sleeping, capturing the vulnerability in his parted lips, the way his lashes fanned like secrets. Then came the job. Wyatt landed a big contract renovating a historic warehouse downtown, the kind that paid enough for dreams, maybe a down payment on that beach house he rambled about. Elias celebrated with him at a rooftop bar overlooking the Space Needle, toasting with overpriced craft cocktails. "To us," Wyatt said, clinking glasses, his gaze holding Elias's like a vow. But the next week whispers started at the site. Tools missing, delays mounting, blame shifting like smoke. Wyatt grew distant, phone calls curt, text trailing off into ellipses. Elias chalked it up to stress, cooked Wyatt's favorite, seared scallops with lemon risotto, in his tiny kitchen hoping to coax him back. But when Wyatt showed up that Friday, eyes bloodshot and fists clenched, it wasn't for comfort. "They think I stole from the crew," he spat, pacing the living room like a caged wolf. "Fucking sabotage, and everyone's pointing fingers at me." Elias reached for him, but Wyatt jerked away. "You don't get it, Eli. This could tank everything." The fight escalated in fragments, Wyatt accusing shadows, Elias pleading for trust. By midnight, Wyatt stormed out, slamming the door that rattled the thin walls. Elias sat on the floor, back against the couch, replaying every word. He didn't see it coming. The anonymous tip to the foreman, the planted evidence, a hammer with Wyatt's prints, tucked in Elias's backpack during a forgotten visit to the site. Why? Elias had no grudge, no motive. But in the haze of Wyatt's paranoia, fueled by barbs from jealous coworkers, the pieces fit wrong. Sunday dawned gray and unrelenting. Elias's phone buzzed with Wyatt's text. "Meet me. Rusty Anchor. We need to talk." Hope flickered, fragile as a match in wind. He arrived early, hood up against the drizzle, heart pounding with what-ifs. Wyatt was there, flanked by two burly guys from the crew. Jax and Marco, faces twisted in righteous fury. "You son of a bitch," Wyatt growled, stepping forward, the rain masking the tremor in his voice. And then the fist, the fall, the world tilting into pain. As boots rained down, Elias curled tight, shielding his head, the betrayal sharper than any blow. "Why?" he gasped between kicks, but Wyatt's face was a mask, rage masking something deeper, regret flickering like lightning. The shadows retreated when a car horn blared from the street, leaving Elias broken on the pavement, rain pooling pink around him. He dragged himself to his feet, ribs screaming, and stumbled toward the light, the city blurring through tears. Wyatt's voice echoed faint. "Eli, wait." But Elias didn't. He ran into the storm, vowing never to look back. Elias woke to the sterile beep of monitors in Harborview Medical Center. His body a map of aches, purple blooms staining his ribs and jaw like abstract art gone wrong. The ER doctor, a no-nonsense woman with salt and pepper hair, clicked her pen as she reviewed the chart. 3 cracked ribs, a mild concussion, and enough bruises to suggest you pissed off a grizzly. "Want to tell me what happened?" Elias stared at the ceiling tiles, counting the flecks like stars in a false sky, and whispered, "Wrong place, wrong time." She didn't push, just prescribed rest and a follow-up, her eyes soft with the unspoken understanding of too many nights like this. Discharged by noon, Elias refused the cab, limping home through downtown's midday bustle. Seattle pulsed around him, commuters huddled under umbrellas, street vendors hawking coffee that steamed like ghosts, but he felt untethered, adrift in the crowd. His apartment in Belltown, a third-floor walk-up with views of Elliott Bay, had never felt smaller. He collapsed onto the unmade bed, the sheets still faintly scented with Wyatt's cologne, cedar and salt, and the dam broke. Sobs racked him, raw and guttural, until exhaustion claimed him, dreams fractured by echoes of fists and fractured trust. Morning brought clarity, cold as the brew he forced down black. Elias called out sick from the roastery, his boss, a gruff Italian named Gino, grumbling but sympathetic. "Take the week, kid. Life's too short for bullshit." Friends trickled in via text. Finn, his sketchy artist buddy from art school, showed up with greasy takeout from Dick's Drive-In, his lanky frame folding into the armchair. "Dude, you look like you went 10 rounds with a truck." "Spill." Elias hesitated, the words sticking like thorns, but Finn's steady gaze coaxed them out. The bar, the build-up, the alley. Finn's face darkened, freckles standing out on his flushed cheeks. "That prick. Framing you for his mess? And then, Jesus, Eli." He pulled Elias into a hug, careful of the bruises, and for a moment the weight lifted. Miles joined later, the quiet librarian type with wire-rimmed glasses and a dry wit, bearing a stack of dog-eared paperbacks. "Escape hatches," he said, stacking them on the coffee table. They talked late into the night, dissecting the wreckage, Finn ranting about toxic masculinity, while Miles quoted Auden on love's illusions. Elias listened, gratitude swelling, but inside the wound festered. How could Wyatt, the man who'd whispered sonnets in the dark, turn so venomous? Rehab was slow, a crawl through fog. Elias sketched compulsively, pages filling with Wyatt's ghost. Profiles in profile, hands that once caressed now clenched in fury. He avoided the usual haunts, Capitol Hill's queer bars, the farmer's market where they'd first shared a stolen kiss over heirloom tomatoes. Instead he wandered new paths, up to Queen and Hill where cherry blossoms defied the drizzle, petals carpeting the sidewalks like confetti from a forgotten party. One afternoon, nursing a latte at a hole-in-the-wall cafe, he overheard snippets of gossip. Wyatt's crew had cleared him after the real thief confessed, some low-life rival planting the tools. Relief warred with rage. Wyatt's paranoia had cost them everything, built on lies Elias never spun. A week in, the first crack in his resolve. A voicemail, Wyatt's voice rough as gravel. Eli, God, I fucked up. It wasn't you. Please call me. Delete. Another followed, laced with tears. I see it now. The evidence, the tip, it was bullshit. I was scared, lost my head. I'm sorry. Elias hurled his phone across the room, screen spiderwebbing, mirroring his heart. Sorry. As if words could mend bones or erase the terror in that alley. He blocked the number, but sleep evaded him. Nights spent staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, replaying their golden days. Flashback pulled him under like undertow. Summer before the fall, they'd escaped to the San Juans, ferrying over with a cooler of IPAs and a tent that smelled of mildew. Orcas dotted the horizon as they kayaked off Lime Kiln Point, Wyatt's paddles slicing water like a promise. That night, under a canopy of firs, fireflies winking like accomplices, Wyatt had knelt in the sand gritty between his toes. Marry me, Eli, he'd said. Not with a ring but a carved wooden whale from a local artisan, smooth as hope. Not legal yet, but in our world. Yeah. Elias had laughed through tears, pulling him close, their bodies merging with the wave's rhythm. It was impulsive, perfect. A pact sealed in salt and starlight. Reality intruded like a hangover. Back in Seattle, Wyatt's secrecy gnawed deeper. Family dinners skipped, excuses piling like autumn leaves. Elias confronted him once, over cold pizza in Wyatt's truck after a Trailblazers game. When do I get to be more than your dirty secret? The cab went silent, engine ticking cool. Wyatt's jaw tightened, hands gripping the wheel. It's not like that. Dad's old school, you know? Heart attack last year, stress kills him. Elias nodded, swallowing bitterness, but the seed of doubt took root. Now, in the aftermath, that seed bloomed toxic. Elias threw himself into work, graduating from barista to shift lead, the grind a bomb. Evenings he joined Finn and Miles for open mics at the Tractor Tavern, nursing Ginger Alesh while they performed. Finn's spoken word fierce and queer, Miles's acoustic covers haunting. One night, a stranger bought him a drink, lean and tattooed with eyes like smoked quartz. Rough night? The guy asked, name tag reading Cole from the bartending crew. Elias demurred, but the attention warmed, a flicker against the chill. They talked music, Nico Case, Fleet Foxes, until last call, Cole slipping him his number with a wink. No pressure. Just coffee if you're up for it. Elias pocketed it, heart a battlefield. Betrayal lingered like bruise, but so did loneliness, sharp as November wind. He dreamed of Wyatt that night, not the monster, but the man who danced with him at a Pride after-party, hips swaying to pulsing bass, sweat-slick skin under strobe lights. Waking, resolve hardened. He wouldn't call, wouldn't forgive. Seattle was big enough to lose yourself in, and Elias intended to try. Yet fate, capricious as the sound's currents, had other plans. 2 weeks post-alley, as Elias trudged home from a late shift, fog thick as regret, a figure emerged from the shadows near his building. Wyatt, haggard, flannel rumpled, eyes hollowed by nights without sleep. Eli, please. 5 minutes. Elias froze, pulse thundering, the air between them charged like pre-storm static. He wanted to run, to scream, but his feet rooted, drawn to the wreckage like moth to flame. Wyatt's plea hung in the mist, a fragile thread Elias could snap with a word. He stood there, keys digging into his palm like anchors, the street lamp casting Wyatt's face in harsh relief, stubble shadowing his jaw, that once easy smile now a ghost. You got your 5 minutes, Elias said finally, voice steady despite the quake inside. He nodded toward the stoop, away from prying eyes, the bay's distant horns moaning like a dirge. They sat on the cold concrete steps, knees inches apart but worlds away. Wyatt scrubbed a hand over his face, exhaling shakily. The crew found the real guy. Some asshole from the union jealous of the contract. He planted the shit in your bag when you visited that day. I didn't check. Paranoia got me, Eli. The pressure, the whispers, I lashed out. His eyes, blue as faded denim, searched Elias's, pleading for absolution. When they dragged me to the bar, said you'd confessed. I lost it. Seeing red. But it was lies. All of it. Elias's laugh was bitter, scraping his throat. Lies? You beat me, Wyatt. Your friends, your fists, while I begged you to stop. Do you know what that does? Not just the pain. The breaking. He pulled up his sleeve, revealing the yellowing mottling on his forearm. A tattoo of their whale now marred by scar tissue from a glancing boot. Wyatt flinched, reaching out instinctively, but Elias jerked back. Don't. You don't get to touch me anymore. The silence stretched, broken only by a car's swish through puddles. Wyatt's shoulders slumped, defeat etching lines around his mouth. I hate myself for it. Every night replaying that alley, your eyes, the blood. I drove by the hospital, sat outside like a creep, too ashamed to go in. Lost the job anyway. Foreman said I was unstable. He swallowed hard, voice cracking. But that's nothing compared to losing you. You're the best thing I ever had, Eli. The only real thing. Elias's chest tightened, memories flooding unbidden. Wyatt's hand steadying him during a ferry crossing gone choppy, laughter bubbling as waves splashed their deck. Quiet mornings in bed, sunlight filtering through blinds, Wyatt's fingers tracing Elias's spine like braille. It had been love, fierce and flawed, but love nonetheless. Now, poisoned. You framed me in your head before they ever touched me, Elias whispered. Made me the villain to save your pride. How do I trust that won't happen again? Wyatt nodded, tears carving tracks down his cheeks. I don't deserve it. But I'm trying therapy, the queer center downtown. Learning why I hid us, why fear won over you. He pulled a crumpled envelope from his jacket, offering it like contrition. Inside, a letter. Pages of raw confession, apologies scrawled in Wyatt's blocky hand, ending with a plea. Let me make it right. Not for me. For us. Elias folded it away, not ready to read, but the weight of it burned. He sent Wyatt away at dawn's first light, the encounter leaving him hollowed. Days blurred into routine armor. Shifts blending beans and banter. Evenings with Finn and Miles fortifying his walls. Cole texted sporadically. Light invites to gallery shows or hikes in Discovery Park. No pressure threading through. Elias met him once, for coffee at a Fremont spot with fairy lights strung like wishes. Cole was easy company, stories of his travels, backpacking the Appalachian Trail, bartending in New Orleans, flowing without demand. They walked the locks afterward, salmon leaping in the fish ladder like metaphors for persistence, Cole's arm brushing his accidentally, sparking warmth Elias hadn't felt in months. But guilt nipped at him, a shadow. Was this moving on or just fleeing? Nights he'd pore over Wyatt's letter by lamplight, words blurring through unshed tears. I was scared of who I am without you, who I am, period. Gay in a world that still side-eyes it even here. It humanized the monster, peeled back layers to the boy Wyatt had been. Raised on stoic fathers in football fields where tenderness was weakness. Elias ached with it, the complexity of forgiveness. A labyrinth, not a straight path. Conflict crested at a mutual friend's birthday bash in Ballard. The warehouse loft pulsing with bass and bodies. Finn dragged him there, insisting on reclamation therapy. Elias arrived armored in a button-down, hairstyle just so, but the sight of Wyatt across the room unraveled him. Wyatt, nursing a soda, eyes lighting when they met Elias's, but holding back, respecting the invisible line. Cole was there too, chatting up a cluster near the bar, oblivious. The night fractured when Jax, Wyatt's old crewmate, the one who'd landed the worst kick, cornered Elias by the makeshift DJ booth. Heard you two are talking again. Watch your back, pretty boy. Wyatt's always been a hothead. Venom dripped, but beneath it, unease. Jax's own regrets, perhaps, for following blind. Elias straightened, ribs twinging reminder. We're done. Tell him that. But as Jax slunk away, Wyatt approached, tentative as a deer in headlights. Can we? Wyatt asked, gesturing to the fire escape. Elias nodded, the cool night air a slap after the crush inside. They leaned on the railing, city lights sprawling below like a neural net of possibilities. Wyatt spoke first, voice low. Saw you with Cole. He seemed solid. Jealousy flickered, but he quashed it. I'm glad. You deserve that. Elias's throat closed. It's not. We're just friends. But yeah, he's kind. No games. The admission hung, vulnerability raw. Wyatt turned, gripping the rail until knuckles whitened. I want to be that for you again. Not the same, better. Out proud, all in. He met Elias's gaze, unflinching. But if you say no, I'll walk. For real this time. Elias's heart warred. Pulled toward the known flame, push from the burn. Below, laughter spilled from the party. A reminder of lives unlived in limbo. I need time, Elias said, the words a bridge half built. Wyatt nodded, stepping back, granting space. As he descended the stairs, Elias felt the tear, half relief, half loss. Back inside, Cole found him, concern creasing his brow. You okay? A hand on his shoulder, steady. Elias leaned into it, testing the waters, but his mind wandered to blue eyes in the rain. The week that followed was a tempest. Elias dove into his sketches, channeling turmoil into canvas. Wyatt's form fragmented, pieced with Cole's silhouette, Seattle's skyline bleeding through. Therapy sessions at the center unpacked the layers. Betrayal as echo of his father's abandonment. Love as redemption sought too desperately. Finn called it progress, Miles a pivot. But when Wyatt's next gesture arrived, a hand-delivered sketchpad, filled with his own clumsy drawings of their memories, captioned with hopes, Elias cracked. He showed up at Wyatt's door unannounced, the Fremont apartment unchanged, troll outside unchanged, sentinel. Wyatt answered shirtless, paint splattered from a freelance gig, surprise widening his eyes. Eli. Elias silenced him with a kiss, fierce and forgiving, then pulled back, breathless. Not yet. But maybe. Show me you're changing. Wyatt's arms enveloped him, tentative, the embrace a question. Inside, over weak tea they talked, not promises but possibilities. Walls tumbled, slow as dawn. Yet doubt lingered, a serpent in Eden. Elias left with hope budding, but as he walked home, phone buzzing with Cole's invite to a concert, the path forked sharper. Choose the scarred familiar? Or the untested new? Seattle's rain wept for him, washing streets clean, but hearts? That was harder work. Elias's tentative thaw ignited a fragile rhythm. Dates with Wyatt rekindled like embers coaxed from ash. Coffee at low-stakes spots in Georgetown. Walks along the waterfront where gulls cried judgment. Wyatt was different. Out to his sister first. A tearful call from the kitchen while Elias pretended not to eavesdrop, her voice tinny with shock then support. About damn time, bro, bring him for crab next weekend. Progress etched in small victories. Wyatt's hand in his at a crowded market, unapologetic. A pride pin on his jacket, rainbow glinting defiant. But scars itched, reminders in quiet moments. A nightmare jolted Elias awake one night in Wyatt's bed. Fists phantom closing on his throat. Wyatt's face morphing from lover to assailant. He slipped out to the fire escape, city hum a lullaby, until Wyatt joined him, blanket draped over shoulders. Talk to me, he urged, no pressure in the touch on his back. Elias did, words spilling like rain. Fear of recurrence, the alley's echo in every raised voice. Wyatt listened, then shared his own demons. Therapy revelations of internalized hate. A high school beating for a stolen glance at the quarterback. Walls built from rubble. It bonded them deeper. Intimacy reborn, cautious yet electric. Mornings tangled in sheets, Wyatt's lips mapping bruises faded to memory. Whispers of I love you earned anew. Elias felt the pull, magnetic as ever. But Cole's texts persisted, gentle check-ins. An undercurrent of interest unforced. Guilt gnawed, was he leading him on? One evening after a shift, Elias met Cole at a brewpub in Ballard. The air thick with hops and hesitation. Cole's smile was easy, eyes crinkling. Miss this. You seem lighter. They talked for hours, Cole opening about his ex. A musician who'd ghosted after a tour, leaving echoes of inadequacy. Learned to stand solo, he said, clinking bottles. But company's better with the right company. Elias's laugh felt genuine, the spark there uncomplicated. As they parted with a hug lingering a beat too long, possibility hummed. Home, Wyatt waited with takeout and a movie queued. Some rom-com schlock about second chances. Cuddling on the couch, Elias's mind split. Loyalty a tightrope. The betrayal's ghost struck hardest at Wyatt's family dinner. Gig Harbor's cabin nestled bayside. Firs whispering secrets, the air briny with low tide. Wyatt's sister, Lena, enveloped Elias in a bear hug, her laugh booming. Finally, Wyatt's been mooning over you since day one. Their dad, grizzled captain type with a limp from deck work, grunted approval over crab legs. Mom passing bread with a wink. It was warm, chaotic stories of Wyatt's boyhood pranks, fishing tales laced with affection. Elias relaxed, seen as kin until dessert when old photos surfaced. Wyatt teenaged, arms slung around a buddy, eyes averted. Later, washing dishes, Lena confided. He came out to us last month. Rough, but Dad came around, said love's love, boats or boys. Pride swelled for Wyatt, but as they drove back fairy-lit, Elias's phone lit with Cole's message. Concert Timmer W? Got an extra ticket. Temptation coiled. Wyatt noticed, glancing over. Everything good. Elias nodded, pocketing it, but the seed of secrecy, ironic mirror, took hold. Sungdot erupted midweek, a storm front rolling in. Elias's boss at the roastery promoted him to manager, a leap toward his cafe dream. Celebration beers at the Anchor, of all places, turning sour when Jax sauntered in. Sober now, Jax cornered Wyatt first, apologies slurred with remorse. I was wrong, man. That night. Fucked up. Wyatt accepted, tense, but when Jax turned to Elias, offering a handshake like penance, rage flared white hot. You think sorry fixes this? Elias's voice cut, glass-edged. The bar hushed, patrons sensing drama. Jax backed off, mumbling retreat, but Wyatt pulled Elias aside, eyes stormy. Let it go, Eli. He's trying. Betrayal flashed. Wyatt defending the man who'd broken him? Easy for you, Elias snapped. You're not the one who still flinches at shadows. The drive home was silent, tension crackling, exploding in Wyatt's apartment. You're punishing me for something that's done. Wyatt yelled, pacing, hands fisting air. Elias whirled, tears hot. It's not done. You let it happen. Chose them over me. The truth landed like a slap, Wyatt reeling. I know. God, I know. But holding on, it poisons us. Elias grabbed his jacket, storming out into sheets of rain, streets flooding with his fury. He crashed at Finn's, the couch a makeshift confessional, Finn listening with coffee and curses. Boundaries, dude. Or you'll drown. Days passed in radio silence, Elias throwing into work and art, canvases ablaze with abstract fury. Reds bleeding into blues, forms fracturing. Cole became anchor, their concert a bomb. Thumping indie rock in a packed showbox, bodies swaying, Cole's arm around his waist during slow songs, no expectations. Afterward, over late-night foe, Cole leaned in. This feels right, Eli. If you want it. The kiss was soft, exploratory, tasting of lime and possibility. Elias reciprocated, heart racing but pulled back, confession tumbling. There's someone. Complicated. Cole's face fell, gracious hurt. Ah. The plot thickens. No hard feelings, friends. Elias nodded, relief bitter. He ended it there, loyalty tugging despite the ache. Wyatt's text resumed, miss you. Therapy at 3. Thinking of the whale. Elias softened. Meeting for a walk in Green Lake. Ducks paddling indifferent. I kissed him. He admitted, voice small. Wyatt stopped, pain etching deep, but he nodded. Okay. If that's what you need. No jealousy, just space granted, growth hard won. Reconciliation brewed slow, a pot left on simmer. They volunteered together at the center, Wyatt facilitating a support group for queer youth, Elias leading art workshops, sketches becoming bridges for stories untold. One evening after a session, a kid named Theo, 17, wide-eyed runaway, shared his sketch of a fractured heart mending. It's like you too, he said shyly, glancing between them. Wyatt's hand found Elias's under the table, squeeze affirming. In that moment, forgiveness solidified. Not erasure but acceptance. But the past clawed back. An anonymous email hit Elias's inbox. Grainy photos from the alley, time-stamped, Jax's face blurred but unmistakable. Heard you're back with the abuser. Run. Panic surged, trust fracturing anew. Elias confronted Wyatt, screen thrust forward. Is this him? Again. Wyatt paled, swearing ignorance. I'd kill him first. They traced it to a burner, dead end, but the seed of doubt bloomed paranoia. Elias slept with lights on, shadows lengthening. Climax loomed at Lena's wedding, a Bayside affair in late spring, wildflowers nodding to jazz from a tent. Wyatt stood as best man, Tuck's sharp vows choking him up. Elias, invited as +1, watched from the crowd, heart swelling at Wyatt's toast, veiled nods to love's trials, eyes finding his. Reception swirled. Dances under string lights, cake sweet as hope. But Jax appeared, uninvited, drunk and desperate, cornering Elias by the dock. He told me to stay away. But you need to know. He paid me off once to keep quiet about his side shit before you. Lies or truth? Elias shoved him, storming to Wyatt. What the fuck does he mean? Wyatt's face drained, denial fierce. Nothing. He's stirring shit. But doubt festered, the night ending in screams by the water, guests scattering. Elias fled to his car, tires spinning gravel, Seattle's lights mocking as he drove into night. The drive back to the city was a blur of taillights and tears, ferry horns wailing like accusations across the black water. Elias crashed at Miles's place in Queen Anne, the spare room a sanctuary of bookshelves and quiet. Miles didn't pry, just brewed chamomile and left him to unravel. Dawn found Elias scrolling the email chain obsessively. Jax's words looping, side shit. Had Wyatt cheated? Before the alley, during the secrecy? Memories twisted, late nights Wyatt claimed were overtime. The way he'd sometimes smell of unfamiliar cologne, chalked up to crewmates. He confronted him via text. Raw truth. All of it. Or we're done for good. Wyatt's reply came swift, my place. Now. The apartment felt alien upon arrival, air thick with unsaid. Wyatt paced, gesturing wildly. Jax is full of it. He tried hitting on me once got rejected, holding grudges since. Evidence spilled. Old messages, a restraining order draft from months back. Elias scanned them, relief warring with exhaustion. Why didn't you tell me? Wyatt sank to the couch, head in hands. Shame. Thought it was handled. Didn't want to taint us. Elias sat beside him, not touching, the gulf narrow but vast. No more secrets. Or I walk. Wyatt nodded, fervent. Swear it. You're my north, Eli. Always. They talked till midnight, peeling onions of trust, Wyatt's fears of inadequacy, Elias's terror of repetition. Sleep came eventual, bodies curving together. A truce fragile as eggshell. Healing accelerated, propelled by purpose. Elias's promotion funded art supplies, workshops expanding to community centers, kids like Theo finding voice in lines and shade. Wyatt joined, his sketches improving, a joint piece emerging. Two whales entwined, scars visible but beautiful. Cole faded to friend, texts occasional, a group hike solidifying platonic. Glad you sorted it, Cole said over trail mix, punching Wyatt's arm lightly. He looks at you like you're the damn sun. Summer deepened their bond. Road trip to the Cascades a reset. They hiked enchantment lakes, turquoise waters mirroring skies unclouded, tents pitched under meteor showers. One night by campfire crackle, Wyatt knelt again, this time with a ring, simple silver engraved with their whale. Legal now in our state. Marry me for real. Elias's yes was whisper soft, sealed with a kiss tasting of smoke and forever. Back home they planned quietly. No fuss, just them, Finn officiating in a park, Miles snapping photos. But conflict simmered beneath idle. Wyatt's dad fell ill. Prostate scare, surgery looming. Pulling him inward, old patterns resurfacing. Snaps of temper over small things. A forgotten chore, a delayed text. Elias called it out gently, therapy a buffer. We're building, not breaking, he'd say, hands framing Wyatt's face. Yet doubt whispered. Was this cycle or growth? One argument escalated, Wyatt slamming a cabinet, Elias flinching visceral. See? The alley's still here. Wyatt froze, horror dawning. Fuck. I'm sorry. He slept on the couch that night, self-imposed exile. Elias sought solace in solitude. A solo drive to Olympic Peninsula. Rainforests dripping emerald. Under moss-veiled trees he journaled fears, joys, the tightrope of love post-trauma. A call to Lena grounded him. He's trying, Eli. We all are. Love's messy, but yours? Worth the mud. Returning, he found Wyatt waiting with dinner. Clumsy pasta, candles flickering apology. Teach me, Wyatt begged. How to be better. They did, sessions doubling, progress in increments. Wyatt's vulnerability logs, Elias's boundary maps. Autumn brought external storm. The center's funding cut, workshops threatened. Elias rallied, organizing a fundraiser. Art auction at a warehouse gallery. Queer artists showcasing resilience. Wyatt headlined construction, building the space pro bono, Jax even volunteering amends, supervised distant. The night buzzed. Bids soaring, Theo's piece fetching top dollar. Toast to survival. In the crowd, Elias caught Wyatt's eye across the room. Pride swelling mutual. Later, slow dancing to a cover of Wicked Game. Bodies syncopated, Wyatt murmured. This you is my redemption. Intimacy deepened, emotional layers peeling to core. Nights they'd lie awake tracing tattoos and histories. Wyatt's first crush on a camp counselor. Elias's hidden sketches of boys in high school margins. Laughter wove through tears, a tapestry richer for rips. But by kitsch loomed subtle. Wyatt's dad worsened, chemo-sapping strength, family fractures widening. Wyatt drove to Gig Harbor weekly, returning drained, Elias the rock eroding slow. One rain-lashed evening Wyatt broke, collapsing in the kitchen, sobs muffled in Elias's shirt. He's dying, Eli. And we never talked real. About me, yes. Elias held him, whispering assurances, but grief's shadow lengthened. They attended together, hospital sterile as fear. Dad's hand frail in Wyatt's. Proud of you, son, he rasped, glancing at Elias. Both. Catharsis hard won, Wyatt emerging lighter. Love's labor-bearing fruit. As winter neared, harmony held, but Elias felt stirrings, his cafe dream crystallizing. Elise scouted in Fremont. Ours, he told Wyatt over blueprints, visions of exposed brick and communal tables. Wyatt grinned, adding sketches. A corner nook for readings, whale motifs etched in wood. Unity profound. Yet in quiet, Elias pondered the arc. From frame to forgiven, beaten to beloved. Was it strength or survival? The answer unfolded daily, in touches and truths. Cole's wedding invite arrived then. A spring affair in Portland, +1 optional. Elias went alone, Wyatt supportive, the ceremony a mirror. Vows exchanged under oaks, rings glinting promise. Dancing with Cole, now hitched to a kind-eyed baker, Elias confessed. You were the what if that made me choose. Cole hugged him tight. And it was right. Returning, Elias found Wyatt on one knee again. Not proposal but gesture. A key to the new cafe engraved partner. In all ways. Tears fell, joy pure. But as snow dusted the sound, a letter came, Jax from rehab, full confession. The email his final sabotage, rooted in rejected advance and envy. Closure bittersweet. Wyatt burned it together, ashes to wind. Free, he said. Elias believed him. Winter wrapped Seattle in crystalline hush, the cafe's opening a beacon amid frost. Hawthorn and cane brews ribbon cut on a crisp December morn. Locals queuing for the inaugural pour. Elias's signature blend, dark roast with notes of vanilla and redemption. Finn emceed, mic in hand, quips landing like snowflakes. Miles manned the register, glasses fogging with steam. Wyatt, sleeves rolled, served with grin. His presence the steady hum beneath chaos. Theo arrived with a mural, whales arcing over brick, colors vibrant as hope, dedicating it with a shy speech that hushed the crowd. Success swelled immediate. Reviews raving, lines snaking to the corner. Elias thrived in the whirl, sourcing beans from ethical farms, hosting pop-up poetry nights where voices queer and bold filled the air. Wyatt balanced builds with barista shifts, their synergy seamless, customers shipping the power couple with winks. Evenings closed with them wiping counters side by side, hands brushing flour dusted, kisses tasting of grounds and gratitude. But by Kitsch's undercurrent pulled, Wyatt's dad slipping further. Hospice in Gig Harbor, the cabin now a vigil site. Air heavy with morphine and memories. Elias drove them weakly, the ferry a liminal space. Wyatt staring at waves, Elias's hand anchor. Dad's lucidity waned but lucent moments pierced. Stories of young love. A sailor wooed in San Francisco ports, parallels drawn to their own. Don't waste it, he told Wyatt, grip weak but eyes fierce. Love loud. Wyatt nodded, throat bobbing, Elias's squeeze silent solidarity. The end came gentle, a February dawn, snow blanketing the bay. Wyatt called from the porch, voice shattered. He's gone. Elias raced over, folding into him amid flakes falling soft. Grief a shared shroud. Funeral was small. Dockside, ashes scattered to currents. Lena's eulogy weaving loss with legacy. Wyatt spoke last, voice steadying. You taught me strength, Dad. And now I live it, with him. Elias's heart clenched, pride amid pain. Their fingers laced through the right. Morning draped weeks, Wyatt retreating inward. Elias the lighthouse. Cafe became haven. Mornings slow, space for tears over toasts. Friends circled. Finn's bad jokes, Miles's playlists of sea shanties turned anthems. One night, Audi-ton over whiskey, Wyatt surfaced. Miss him. But you're here. That's enough. Intimacy shifted tender. Bodies mapping sorrow to solace. Love's language evolving. Spring thawed them, renewal green as the peninsula shoots. Cafe expanded events. Queer book club. Drawing crowds diverse and devoted. Elias sketched a series. Framed hearts. Gallery show chronicling their arc. Pieces raw with alley shadows fading to light. Opening night packed, Wyatt's toast vulnerable. This is us, broken, beautiful, unbroken. Bids flew, proceeds to the center. Theo buying the whale piece for his dorm wall. Yet climax brewed in subtlety. A letter from Jax forwarded post-release. Apology exhaustive, therapy's fruit. I was lost, lashing out. Your forgiveness? Model for mine. Wyatt read it aloud. Then together they drafted reply. Grace extended, boundaries firm. Healing's chain, Elias said, sealing envelope. Mailing it felt ritual, past exorcised. Summer peaked their union. Wedding small, lakeside in the Cascades, wildflowers witness. Finn ordained, cracking wise through vows. Miles and Lena flanking, eyes misty. Elias's suit tailored simple. Wyatt's eyes only on him as they exchanged rings. Whales etched eternal. I choose you, scars and all, Wyatt promised. Kiss sealing amid cheers and loons' calls. Reception bonfire lit. Dances delirious. Cake smashed with laughter. Honeymoon local. San Juan's revisit. Kayaks cutting blue, tents stargazed. There, under meteor veil, Elias confessed deepest. Feared we'd break again. But we mended. Wyatt pulled him close, waves lapping him. We did. And we'll keep doing. Return brought routine enriched. Cafe thriving, Wyatt's freelance firm budding. Joint projects blooming. A adoption talk surface casual, fostering perhaps a Theo-like kid needing home. Family our way. Wyatt mused, Elias's yes lighting futures. Years folded forward. Story theirs woven daily. Elias's novels birthed from sketches. Debut echoes in the alley. Bestseller quiet. Themes of forgiveness lauded. Wyatt read first, tears spotting pages. Us immortal. Pride swelled mutual. Love's depth plumbed endless. One anniversary, alley revisited. Not haunt but reclaim. Rusty anchor quiet, rain pattering familiar. They stood where fists fell. Wyatt's hand in Elias's, ghosts banished. Here we began again, Elias said. Wyatt nodded, kiss rain kissed. And keep beginning. Life's tapestry frayed occasional. Arguments over bills, losses like Lena's baby scare. But threads held, mended stronger. Community anchored. Center rebuilt. Their donation bricks. Elders mentored, youth inspired, legacy rippling. In quiet age, rocking chairs on cafe porch, grayed but gazing same, Elias traced Wyatt's lines. Worth the frame. Wyatt chuckled, eyes twinkling. Every shatter led to this. Sunset gilding sound, they sat, hands clasped, stories and open as horizon. Compassion's arc, freedom's flight, identity's embrace.